Hi there, my name is Mairéad and I work at Dolphin's Barn Library. And today, for Spring into Storytime, I'm going to read a story from the O'Brien Book of Irish Fairy Tales and Legends, retold by Una Leavy and illustrated by Susan Field. And the story I'm going to read from it today is called The Pot of Gold. Dan Kelly lived alone. He didn't have a wife, for no girl would marry him. He was lazy and untidy. Not for him the hard work and neat farms of his neighbours. His fields were full of weeds, gates sagged, his cattle rambled the roads. Dan preferred to spend his time dreaming. He had great plans. One day he would be rich and have everything he could wish for. Some bit of luck was sure to happen. This morning, though, he was up early. It was a feast day and there would be sports and dancing in Ballycahill. He put on his only suit, then reached for a tie, his best red silk one. A flick of the comb and he was ready. It was a long walk to Ballycahill. At first the road passed along by his own farm. It didn't bother him that the neighbours' fields teemed with full, ripe crops of oats and barley. There they were, poor things, slaving away, while he was off on a day's outing. Clouds of dust flurried his shoes as he walked, then a shoelace loosened. He stopped to tie it. Tack, tack. What was that noise in the field beside him? Puzzled, he listened. Tick, tack, tick. Was it a grasshopper? No, this was louder and sharper. Was it a thrush smashing a snail's shell against a stone? No, this was completely different. On tiptoe, Dan peered through the hedge. What he saw almost caused him to stumble into the briars. There in the field sat the smallest man you could imagine. His hat was red with a white feather in it, and he wore a little leather apron. A leprechaun. Dan gave a great big grin. Here surely was the bit of luck he had been waiting for. Straightening his tie, he clambered clumsily through the hedge. There was a loud rip on the seat of his pants. But what harm? Soon he would be buying a new suit. The leprechaun looked up as Dan stepped into the field. Good morning, Dan, he said. Are you going to the fair of Ballycahill? I was on my way, said Dan, when I heard you working, so I thought I'd stop for a minute. You're very welcome, said the leprechaun politely. Sit down and rest yourself. There's a rock there behind you. Dan was just about to turn when he remembered if he looked away even for a second, the leprechaun would vanish. So here we have the wee leprechaun. He's a crafty little fella, thought Dan. I'll have to be careful. So he just stood where he was. That's a grand little shoe you're making, he said. It is indeed, said the leprechaun. There's a big ball tonight in Lissachill. It's a pair of dancing shoes for the Queen of the Fairies. Dan had never seen anything so lovely. They're gorgeous, he said, but it isn't shoes I'm looking for. I didn't think it was, sighed the leprechaun. Hmm. No, indeed, said Dan. I'm after your pot of gold. Everyone knows that leprechauns have loads of money. Pot of gold? Laughed the leprechaun. You must be joking. Why do you think I'm sitting here working while the rest of the world is feasting and merrymaking? Your world isn't my world, said Dan, and why you're working is none of my business. But it's my field you're sitting in, and I want the gold this instant. A poor bit of field it is too, remarked the leprechaun. Look at it, full of poisonous ragwort and all the seeds blowing in on your neighbours. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Gold, screeched Dan, in a terrible temper. He'd heard plenty of complaints about his fields already. The gold! Get me the pot of gold! He snatched the little man in a vicious grip. Let me go, squealed the leprechaun. I'm meeting in the middle. You've the breath squeezed out of me. I'll let you go when you show me where the pot of gold is, roared Dan. All right, I'll show you, croaked the leprechaun. Just put me down. Dan dropped him roughly onto the grass, with his hat squashed. Poor wee leprechaun. With his hat squashed sideways, the leprechaun hopped across to a clump of ragwort. It's under here, he said sulkily. Dan groaned. He had no spade, and the field was dotted with 10,000 clumps of ragwort. Sweat ran down his face, and he loosened his collar. At once an idea came to him. He grinned, then taking off his tie, he knotted it around the piece of ragwort. I'm going home for a spade, he said to the leprechaun. Will you promise me on your honour that you will not touch that tie? I promise, said the leprechaun. For a lazy man, Dan Kelly could move very quickly. In minutes he was home and back again. But when he reached the field, the spade clattered from his hand. The leprechaun was gone, and red ties fluttered cheerfully on 10,000 clumps of ragwort. Dan Kelly didn't go to the fair that day. He spent the afternoon sewing the seat of his trousers. Once or twice he thought he heard someone laughing, but it was only the wind in the chimney. He never did buy another suit, but he had plenty of ties to wear to the fair of Ballycahill. The end. Thanks for listening.